4 retired detectives with years of experience have come back to work with the Dayton Police Department's cold case unit on the city's unsolved murders.
Yeah, they are focused on the top 10 cases they think they can solve. Center 7 Cheryl McHenry did her own investigation on a name on that list. Cheryl?
James, it's that of a woman beaten so badly her family didn't even recognize her. It happened 35 years ago. The person who murdered Toni Watkins probably feels pretty confident they've gotten away with it. But Dayton cold case detectives are confident, too, that they can still arrest that person. The evidence they have and what they still need to solve this Miami Valley murder mystery. It was past midnight on May 14th, 1989, when Dayton homicide detectives were called to Grandview Hospital on a critically injured woman.
And found out that she had been wandering around Old Orchard and Kenwood looking for help.
Detective Doyle Burke says the people who helped her told police the woman was disoriented but able to speak.
Never gave her name, never was responsive to questions like what happened, who did this to you, things like that.
She had been raped and beaten severely.
Literally beaten to death.
Her name was Toni Watkins, and she lived 12 more days in a medically induced coma until her family made the hard decision to let her go. A tragic end to a life that had once been as bright as her smile.
She was known as Toni Gail Anderson.
Yvette Beach is Toni's cousin. They were more like sisters. Toni's mother, Sarepta Anderson, was well known as a phys ed teacher and principal with Dayton Public Schools.
We used to tease her being an only child and a female. We would tell her she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth.
And Toni's Roth High School yearbook shows just how popular she was in the class of '73.
Very popular. She played volleyball, she was a cheerleader, captain of the cheerleading squad. She was homecoming queen, yes she was.
Toni went to college, later married, and had a son and a daughter.
She was loving, full of life. You know, she liked to make people happy.
One of Alicia's favorite memories of her mother was from her job with the City of Dayton's Recreation Department.
So I remember a day when we went to a school and then we played basketball. You know, played basketball in the gym and just ran around. We just had fun.
But at 34, Toni and her husband had separated, and she was struggling with substance abuse. Alicia believes that likely led to her losing her mom. She was only 7.
It made me angry, you know, because not understanding exactly what happened I was lost, confused.
How important is it to you that this case be solved?
Very important. It's like my #1 goal.
That's why all these years later, she's come back from North Carolina to retrace her mother's final steps.
We know from another neighbor that she was down there earlier, so we know she's coming this way, and she ends up on the porch there at 356.
And try to envision the last moments of her life.
Detectives tell me there are 2 missing elements that make this case tougher to solve: the lack of a definite crime scene and the lack of a motive.
Not a robbery, so it just seems to be a interpersonal relationship of some type that would be the motive, but we were never able to nail that down.
Detective Gary White says although Toni Watkins was not able to name her killer, she may still be able to help do so. Her injuries yielded DNA evidence they've resubmitted for testing using new technology. Now what they need is information.
There's no doubt in my mind that there are people in Dayton who know who murdered Toni Watkins.
You know, I would like them to just think about their self at 7 years old, and if they lost a loved one as close as my mom was to me.
Alicia says answers would bring closure and ease the painful memory of that lost and confused little girl who had to grow up without her mother. Cold case detectives urge anyone with information about Toni Watkins' murder or any other unsolved murder to call them at 937-333-7109. Any information at all could be helpful, and you don't have to give your name.